Every time you spent $1, you got $5 back. How many times would you spend that dollar? What I'm going to cover in this video is exactly how you can add $10,000 per month to your business completely on autopilot without sending a single message and without posting content. So I'm going to pull up my handy dandy notebook here and I'm going to draw some fancy lines. The first thing that we need to identify when running paid advertising campaigns, when I say on autopilot, what I mean is by using paid ads to automatically just generate leads in your inbox every single day, okay? The first thing we need to identify to make this all make sense and for an advertising campaign to work is we need to reverse engineer things. We need to know our targets and our key performance indicators, okay? Now, when we're reverse engineering things, we need to figure things out from closest to the money to furthest to the money, meaning when I say closest to money, what I mean is how many customers do you need to actually be able to add that $10,000 per month to hit your whatever your goal is, okay? So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to put targets, okay? And I'm going to give you average numbers that we see for every number that you need to know that is most important with running paid ads. And then on the right here, we are going to put your offer price. Now, assuming that you're thinking that you're going to run ads to a $100 offer, we're going to show you how the cookie crumbles if you do so. And then we're also going to show the difference between a $1,500 offer and how to make that profitable and why this is all going to make sense. So we're going to reverse engineer this once again from furthest to the money to closest to the money. What I mean is how many customers do you need? So over here, I'm going to put customers. Do you need with a $100 offer to be able to make $10,000 per month? Pretty simple. You would need 100, right? The next thing is how many calls that actually show up, do you need on your calendar to show up and speak to you to be able to get 100 new customers? Because you're taking sales calls, you're going to need people to show up. And then the next thing is book calls. So book calls is different from showed calls because, generally we'll run through these numbers in a second. We see an 80% show up rate, or that's a great target to have, I would say. Just because you have 10 people book a call, all 10 of them aren't necessarily going to show up. So we need to figure that out as well. And then the final thing is how many leads do we even need to be able to hit $10,000 per month? So where a lot of people go wrong is like, yeah, I'm just going to spend money to make 10 grand per month with my business. But it's like, okay, how many leads do you need? How many book calls do you need? How many you need to show up? And how many do you need to close to be able to hit those targets? Do you have those actual skills to be able to do so? Which is why paid ads is not for everyone if you don't have those skills and systems and the right things in place to be able to capitalize off ads. If you do have the right scripts, the right messaging skills, and the right things in place, you can make a lot of money from ads. And I'm going to show you how in a second. Cool. So that takes me to the next percentages. What closing rate percentage do we actually need? How many people do we need to close? So on average, a target, even 25%, meaning 1 out of 4, is good enough to make money. So I'm just going to put closing rate percentage. And we're going to set a target of 25%. Okay. Next thing is lead to book call percentage. And this will determine your messaging skills because the paid ads don't do all the work by itself. What lead to book call percentage means is out of how many leads that come in from the paid ad are actually booking a call, scheduling a call. On average, what we see, percentage, so I'm going to put LBCR percentage is 10%. Okay, if you get 10% people to book a call, meaning 10 out of 100, you can make money, okay? And then finally, we have actually meant to put show up rate above that. So I skipped something. Let me go back really quick. Show up rate. So how many people do we need to show up, or what's a good target to have is 80%. Now, some of you might be a little bit more, some of you might be less. This is going to be determined by a few factors, but we want it to be as high as possible because the more that show up means the more money that we can make. So I'm going to put lead to book call ratio down here, which was 10%. We need at least 10% of our leads booking a call, and then I'm going to put a line. Those are the targets that we need to hit. Those are the minimum targets that I see that are going to allow for you to make money with your advertising campaigns. The next thing we need to know is how much is this going to cost us to make $10,000 per month? So first number that we have, and by far the most important number, is your cost to acquire a customer. So a target that we want to set for that is generally $400, okay? Next thing is your costs per booked call. And if you want to get really granular, you can say your cost per showed up call, but we're going to keep things simple here. And we're going to go for a target of $100, meaning every time you spend $100, you get a new book call, which is pretty awesome. I'd rather spend $100 to get a book call versus send 100 DMs to get a book call, right? 100 cold DMs, right? Okay, what's after that is our cost per lead. Super important because this is going to dictate all the rest of the things pretty much, okay? Could be as low as $5, but we're going to try to be a minimalist here and kind of just, go with modest numbers. $10 per lead for a complete newbie, okay, if you're new to advertising and stuff. So now that we know our targets, we need to figure out, okay, how many calls showed and all that stuff and book calls and leads do we need to be able to make $10,000 with a $100 offer? Well, if we know that we need to get 100 customers, right? So if we know that we need to get 100 customers, that means we're closing 1 out of 4 people that show up. So all we would do is multiply this by 4, and we would get a total of 400 calls to show up. Whoops, I put 4,000. We need 400 calls to show up to be able to make $10,000 at a $100 offer. Now, can you even take 400 calls per month? You'd probably be drowning. You would want to die. That's like 13 calls per day. That's ridiculous, right? So this is already not making sense with the $100 offer, and I'm going to explain to you how we can make this make sense and how to fix that in a bit. Now, we also know that only 80% of people are going to show up, which is 4 out of 5 calls. So what we do is instead of multiplying this by 4 is we multiply it by 5. So we actually really need 500 sales calls. Okay, let me just delete the sloppiness for us to even get 100 customers, because 4 out of 5 show, which means 400 calls show up and 100 of them actually become customers. Now, the next thing we need to figure out is how many leads do we need to be able to get 500 book calls on the calendar, 400 to show, and 100 to become customers. Well, pretty simple. We know that 10% of our leads will book a call. So we just multiply this by 10, and we would have 5,000 leads. That's a lot of leads. I don't even get that many leads per month. Okay, that's a ridiculous amount of leads. Now, knowing that our target cost per lead, and this is a pretty good cost per lead, is $10. This is how we're going to start crunching the numbers here and figuring, and you guys are going to soon understand why this doesn't make sense. Even if you do hit these minimum targets that are for sure can make you money if you hit these targets, you're not going to make money with this offer. Why? Because let's do the math. 5,000 leads would cost you, just multiply 5,000 by 10, $50,000. That's a lot of money, okay? So you need to spend $50,000 at $10 a lead to just get $5,000. That's how ads work, which also means for you to get those 500 book calls, well, just do the math. $50,000 divided by 500. We're hitting our target of $100 cost per book call, but it's still just not making sense to spend $50,000 to make $10,000, right? And we're also within our KPI to cost to acquire a customer, right? Because you do $50,000 divided by, we get 100 customers with that, equals $500. So we're $100 off. We're spending $500 per customer, which is still good for a cost to acquire a customer. But none of this is adding up. Now, with these numbers, with a $100 offer, we're actually negative $40,000. So this makes no sense. So instead, what you need to do, this is why you need to do high ticket, is you need to charge $1,500, right? At least. Now let's crunch the numbers again. With a $1,500 offer, how many customers would we need? We would need 7. Now, we know that we need 4 times that amount of calls to show up in order for us to get 7 customers. So we multiply this by 4, and what do we have? 7, 14, 21, 28, right? 28 calls need to show up on our calendar for us to get 7 customers, okay? Now, if we multiply this by 5, because, only 80% are going to show up, we would have 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, right? 35 sales calls on our calendar to be able to get 7 new customers. Now, how many leads do we actually need to get? We just multiply this by 10, and that will give us the amount of leads that we need, assuming that you're able to book at least 1 out of 10 leads that come in, or 10 out of 100 if that makes things easier. So that would bring us to 350 leads. So let's break this all down again. In order for us to make to actually more than $10,000 with a $1,500 offer would actually be $10,500. What we need is 350 leads, 35 book calls, 28 calls to show up, and 7 new customers. Sounds a lot easier, right? If we do the math once again, right? If you're working 6 calendar days, right? 6, 12, that's 24 days. Do 28 divided by 24, and that will give you the exact amount of calls that you need to take per day to be able to make $10,500 per month. Comes out to 1.16. So between 1 and 2, okay? If we're, all within targets here, which you should be, okay? Now, let's do some more math. How much money is this actually going to make us? Well, we need to know what we're actually spending first. So assuming that we're hitting all these targets right here, once again, that, you should be hitting if you want to be profitable. Our cost per lead, with the same cost per lead at the, same cost per lead at the $100 offer, we would be at, well, what's 10 times 350? That'd be $3,500. Okay. Our cost per book call is, what we do is 3,500. So if we're spending 3,500 to be able to get 350 leads and 35 book calls, we just divide 3,500 divided by 35, which means we're within our target of cost per book call at $100, which also means we're at the same cost per acquisition, right? So what you do is you do 3,500 divided by 7 clients to figure out your cost to acquire a customer. So I know I put the target as 400 here. That would be better. That would mean you're making more money. But even at $500 cost to acquire a customer, even being more modest, $3,500 turns into, you can do the math, $10,500. So you tell me which side you would want. Negative $40,000 or positive, net positive 10,000 minus 3,500, $7,000. So your net positive would be $7,000 here. This is exactly how you turn a dollar into $3, $4, $5. Now, what simple levers can you pull to be able to make this even more profitable? Well, we could drive down the cost per lead to $5. And if we make this simple little switch to $5 instead, it completely and drastically changes these numbers with all of this stuff right here, right? So if our cost per lead, and we know we need 350 leads, was $5 instead, let's do the math. 350 times 5, that means you spend $1,750 instead to make the same exact amount of money, $10,500. Another easy lever that you can pull is increasing your prices to $2,000, right? So that would immediately make you more money. This is why one of the easiest levers and most leverageable things that you can do is increase your prices, drive down your lead costs. But sometimes, that's okay, $10 a lead. Okay, cool. How do we make up for that margin and get higher profit margins? Well, we just charge $2,000, $3,000, maybe even $5,000, right? That's how you turn your ads into more profitable ones. Now, we can easily say, well, Eric, now I want to get to $20,000. So even if we're within, this KPI here, which would be about a 3x on your ad spend, every dollar you spend, you get $3 back. All you would do is turn it up and spend $7,000 to make $21,000, sorry, because it's $10,500. This is how you use money to make more money with paid ads. This is exactly how it works. Now, how's the actual system and process look like now that we know the key targets that we need to hit? Okay, let's put this all in perspective. So it all starts with the advertisement itself, like the video that they see where you're speaking and a call to action. So you're going to be on video. You're going to be like, hey, I'm looking for 5 people who want to lose XYZ amount of weight without XYZ sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't have too much time to be able to cover the whole advertising part here. Just really want to cover the strategy, high level overview of the strategy. But it all starts with your ad, right? Sorry about my handwriting. It's so sloppy. Okay. Which, by the way, we can install this whole entire thing for you. And if you're like, hey, Eric, this sounds like a lot, schedule a call below. We'll show you how it's all done to add at least $10,000 per month to your current coaching company. Back to it though. It all starts with your ad. And from that ad, people will click it and they go straight into your DMs. So this is where you start to get your time back, because instead of you hunting for leads and running for people, people are running to you. So it goes straight into your DMs. That's so sloppy. Sorry. Let me make that a little bit better. Okay. So it goes straight into your DMs. These are called DM ads, and they're the easiest and fastest way to scale your business, especially with where a lot of you guys are watching right now. You don't really have the experience of copywriting to be able to create a whole funnel. So the next step after the DM conversation, you'll just ask them a few questions here in DMs about their goals, their struggles, what they've tried in the past. And then from there, you're just really qualifying to make sure that they're good for a call. From there, your goal is to book a call. So from there, they will apply. They'll be sent to your application form. Okay? On this application form, it is ideal to be able to have conditional logic, meaning, if someone puts "I can't afford anything" or they seem disqualified, it automatically disqualifies them. But we're just going to keep it simple. After they apply, they are redirected, ideally, to book a call. Okay? It's that freaking simple. After that, this is how it turns into money. Okay? And I'm just going to put a money sign so you guys get this. All right, I know I'm a little bit sloppy here, but this is exactly how the system and process works. So once again, the ad, right? The ad will direct them to a DM. You have a simple conversation. We are paying between $5 and $10 per lead. Okay? In that DM, generally what we see is 10% of them book a call. Okay? 10% of them will apply and book a call. And then out of that 10%, you'll close 25%, become a customer. Okay? Closing 25%. And that's literally how it works. As long as you know these metrics right here, you can profitably run ads and drive tons of leads to your page that turn into sales calls even while you sleep. That's as simple as it goes. Okay? Now, if you want to add an extra layer to increase this 25%, what we actually do for our clients is after they book a call, it actually redirects them to a video. Now, in this video, it is built to increase this closing percentage, which is one of the easiest levers that you can close, right? Because if we went back, we closed 30% of those deals. We're now making more money from the ad. So this video is built to pre-nurture people prior to the call to increase your closing percentage and show up rate. And then after the video is when you have your closing call and maybe 30% turn into a customer instead. So once again, if you want us to install this whole entire system for you, step by step, what we do is we script all of the ads for you. We give you the scripts to be able to convert them into customers. Once you add 10K a month to your business, we also enter an appointment setter or virtual assistant to take over all your DMs. So all that you have to focus on is your closing calls. That's it. We also additionally script your video to show you exactly what to say in your video that's sent to them prior to the call. That way there you can increase your conversion rate. Plus we give you the sales scripts to be able to close clients and the sales skills. Using this system, we've helped many clients crush it. So once again, if you want us to install this whole system into your business for you, click the link in the description below. And if not, I will see you on the next one. Peace.